So that knife there, how much is that knife?
Oh, $700, I think. $700. This isn't my good knife.
This isn't the good knife.
This is another $1,000 knife. This is a sakana de bucho, which is like a knife for cutting like really big fish. So this is a much heavier blade. It's much thicker.
Oh wow!
Like look at the spine.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
It's very soft
Yeah.
iron. You can see because it's pitting here, where sometimes you see like pitting.
Yeah.
And if you look at the edge here, you'll see a hamon, which is that ribbon.
Yeah.
So the edge is extremely hard. This part here is kind of soft.
Softer,
So
yeah.
it gives you a tough but flexible blade. This is a much lighter knife. And then it's got like a nice handle here which fits right around your finger so you can get like a nice pull cut. So when you're doing sashimi, you're holding it here and you're...
Yeah, actually. Cool.
So this is a flat
Oh,
side.
I didn't notice that.
And then this
Yeah.
one is a beveled size, giving you always a right-handed knife.
Right.
Left-handed knives cost 3 or 4 times more. This is actually, I can tell this is a decent knife, but not a great knife because I can see the pattern that goes through this entire thing. You can see the whip.
The pattern welding, yeah.
Yeah, the pattern welding. Just basically just hit the knife there and pull it straight through.
Jeez, that's insane.
And like, hey, you on your dreads there.
Holy
Are
smokes.
you a foodie too? Or
That's insane.
What the heck, man? That's so old school.
Mhm.
There we go. Now they've already skinned it, which is super nice, because they do a really good job of it there. Look at that. So do you want to try cutting this? It actually feels pretty different. So like when you cut fish with like a really sharp knife, it just feels different. We have your kitchen knife. Let's get your kitchen knife out. So try it with this knife here,
Okay.
and it'll be a decent pull.
Cutting it across like that?
Yeah, just give it a like a.
I had to put some pressure on it, yeah.
Okay.
But seems okay. Oh, maybe not.
If
Well, that just, yeah, totally.
It's
Because we have so much real estate, you don't have to saw it.
Right. So the reason why we're turning this one to sashimi is you can see there's much darker white lines here.
Yeah.
That's all fat, so
Right.
that gives it a lot more flavor.
Mm-hmm.
This one is not as it's a little bit more lean on this side
Right.
because this is the back side as opposed to the rib
compensate?
side.
So that one's for nigiri?
This one's for sashimi.
For sashimi, sorry.
Yeah. A little thick for nigiri.
These are actually still small.
These are small.
This is small.
This is small for the roll
you should
we've
see
seen.
wasabi. Wasabi's ridiculous.
This is like a perfect mouthful. You taste the fish.
Right?
And yeah, I mean, I could cut you a chunk like that, but
No,
I mean,
no.
like, what's
The
point?
issue isn't okay. You take something like this.
Mhm.
I want you to make it twice as thick.
Like that, sort of thing.
Yeah. So put that on rice. That's the nigiri
too
that we're
big.
cutting mostly in town.
That's too big.
So you can see the difference in what's
it's too big.
what's proper.
You'll see that. I'm gonna just put it flat here.
Yeah.
You can see that there's a ridge. It's not a very good shadow here. You can kind of maybe see if you have a shadow along here,
Yeah.
but there is a line that actually comes up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the reason is I cut it this way in the very last finish. I tilt the knife back up and I pull straight through,
Yeah.
giving you a two-tiered look. Especially if you look at this one here right now.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah,
see
you can
that.
see
You've
it.
got that
Pretty
ridge,
dramatic.
Like look at this one. Pretend this is on a piece of rice. You can see that line showing straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if I show it on this side, there's nothing there.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a little
Okay.
nicer.
That doesn't sound like such a big deal, but when you start cutting pieces of fish that are a little bit thinner, like that, okay, and then you do the exact same thing, but you give that last little crunch there, you can then really start to see the difference. You actually still feel like you're biting into something that's
So you
got a
still
little
get the
bit of
texture.
texture.
That's
It is aesthetics, but it's
It's
functional
also
aesthetics.
it's also
Functional
yeah,
aesthetics, okay?
yeah.
So this stuff here, I mean, we can turn that into sushi if we want to, but I mean, you know, we have enough there. So avocados. This one's actually a nice ripe avocado. Did you know if you take the button off and look inside of it, if it's black,
Yeah.
it's too ripe?
Yeah.
This one's nicely green.
Yeah.
Now here's the funny thing. When you see this thing, it's always got a slant on one side.
Yeah.
Okay? You never, ever cut this way. You always cut with the thing here. Otherwise the seed can split on your hand. So as you're going through, the seed will split and you just put the knife right through your hand. I've done that once. Okay? Once is enough. Okay? So,
Well, this is the best I could do.
okay? Okay? And then basically, was that me or you?
Where's my phone?
Someone's phone. There's the different ways to cut them. Hey, I'll make you a dragon roll. I'll save this one. I'll make you a dragon roll. That's all cooked. Peeling the cucumber the hard way. Lots and lots of practice. You know, when I first started this, when I first started doing this, This is like one of those primary skills you have to know how to do.
Well, how long did you make rice before they let you cut fish?
Oh God, I don't want to talk about it. It took me 6 months to get one batch of rice to be perfect.
Before your chef said, okay, that's good.
That's good. He said before it was perfect. It's one of those things where you're like, oh come on, this is good enough. Oh come on, this is good enough. And he says it's perfect, and you're like, oh, this is good. So I did rice twice a day, every day, for 6 months before I got one batch of rice perfect. And there is a difference between perfect and good enough. Okay? It took me another 2 months to get 2 batches of rice in a row perfect. Such a difficult thing to do. And surprisingly, this actually makes a huge difference to a cucumber roll because instead of having one big chunk, you get these little tiny little crispy little bits that are like, oh, wonderful, right? And so yeah, it tastes different. So now if you look here, you'll see that there's white lines that go through this. This is actually the sinew that keeps the muscle layers together. It's actually not suitable to eat by itself, so we're going to scrape it down. To do that, we're going to actually trim this part off here. You really should see these lines that go across it. This is not the best piece of tuna, but I mean, it's reasonable. That's better. This is a much better piece of. This one here, if you look at here, there's a whole bunch of white that goes through it.
Uh-huh.
We can't actually eat that part because it's really, really tough. It's a sinew. Okay, and then basically we're just gonna scrape out like that. If you can see it. Like you have a hard time cutting it with a knife, so you can imagine trying to chew that would be
Yeah.
less than perfect.
So when
So
you
what do
think,
you use the scrapings then for?
The scrapings are going to rolls.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like a
really good rolls actually,
like
because it's very, very tender. Because
it's
it's
extremely tender. It's very high in fat.
Okay.
So this part of the fish
Very
will be
flavorful.
very flavorful. It's not as much as say like the ribs, the toro, but this is still chutoro, which means it's like a secondary level
okay.
of fat.
yeah. Well, nobody in town does red tuna.
No,
Nobody
no
in
one
town
does
cuts red tuna.
Not
You
anymore.
did occasionally.
I did all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I did all the time. That's what kind of made us stand up for everyone else.
Not that good.
So there you go.
Crap.
Practice.
Yeah. That's sick.
Alright, so it's just practice. My old sushi guy could get one that goes like a fan, like a
Full
card,
fan?
like a full fan of cards.
That's awesome.
It's 1 part sugar to 1 part rice vinegar, and then you taste it, and you're all gonna get this really sour tang. And you add salt to it slowly until it just starts to taste. The sugar starts to come up a lot more. Oh, happy day. You actually want it to be a little bit firmer than normal. I would never ever serve this rice for dinner side.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you can make sushi with basmati rice.
No.
Coffee.
It smells like stinky feet. Reminds me of money. If you look at the rice right now, it's kind of shiny.
Yeah.
I think I might have added just a little too much sushizu. It's not a big deal. But when it cools, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
So the key here is that every single grain of rice had its chance to sit in sauce, which is why you see
Every rice has its chance.
which is why you see me cutting in the grains this way, is
Yeah.
to break up any clumps, so any clumps are broken, so that all the grains of rice get a chance to do it.
Where did you get that?
That one there is called Osaki Kanikama. It's actually, I ordered it from my old
Supplier.
supplier
So did I see that right? You put water
on the edge just
edge?
to hold it together.
That's cool.
A bit messy today. Oh well.
You want another plate?
Yes, please. Well, it's not even roasting it. Like if you do it too much, you'll scorch it,
Yeah.
which I've done before. Right?
Then you get a really bitter taste, right?
Yeah, and then you get like you'll taste it, right? I'll show you guys how to make a hand roll while you guys are here, so you guys can practice. So you can take one of the nori pieces. The shiny side is going to be down in the palm of your hand. The cut side is going to be up towards your fingertips. Okay, and you're basically doing a 45-degree angle. So all you're going to do is you're going to take a little pat of rice, not a whole lot of it. You can put more if you want to. Okay, like that. Generally speaking, cucumber is an excellent choice to do. Okay, you might want to take some tuna. We take some avocado, and just stick it in there. You might take a crab stick. They're in plastic sleeves, okay, so you might want to kind of grind it up a bit. So it's like that. Stick it in there. Then to actually roll it, you're going to take this corner and you take it this corner here, and you're going to try and form a 90-degree sort of like right there.
Okay.
Okay? And then you're just going to tightly roll it across your hands, which is why they call it a hand roll, or a sushi cone, because it looks like a little cone. So this is like this is for when you're doing a sushi party when there's lots of people and they're just wandering around. A buffet style of sushi, this would be how you do it. I had to eat so many cucumber rolls when I was making sushi in the very first that they no longer do anything for me. But the first thing I order when I go to a place to have sushi is a cucumber roll, simply because it is the hardest thing to do right. Okay, so I'll show you how to make a good piece of sushi if you want to try nigiri sushi.
Yep.
Nigiri sushi is actually really easy and super hard. It's really easy because all you're doing is putting a chunk of rice on there and calling it good. But it's actually really hard to do right. So you want to get a small lump of rice. You don't want to squeeze it. It should be like
Pliable still?
yeah, there should be air in it. Okay. So when you put it on there, you're going to hold it on with your thumb, and you're going to shape it with your thumb and your third finger. Notice if I flip it over in my hand, it looks a lot like sushi. Okay. The last part of it here is now you're just shaping it to give it. So right now it looks a little bit wobbly. It's not very on there. Okay. So you're going to use your fingertips, and you're going to form a claw thing here. Right. This one pushes in sideways so it doesn't spread. This one pushes in sideways here, and then you're going to use two fingers, and you're going to do it this way. This is why they call it nigiri. Two fingers. Okay. Like that. Okay. Now, it should be slightly draped on top of it, but it should be no more than maybe a big mouthful, but it should be no more than a mouthful.
I can eat those all day.
Yeah.
And like this is an easy way to have a sushi party. Like making these rolls is actually really time consuming in terms of like when you're first starting.
Mm-hmm.
But hand rolls,
Easy.
super.
You brought stuff, right?
Okay, and there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I found
cucumbers
a
are
couple
very
places
important
that
in an
actually
avocado
do
roll.
sushi.
Sorry, in a California roll. Surprisingly, it's what's the most important
And
part.
it's just they
Avocado,
basically send
not
you
so
measurements and
much.
they make it
It's
for you.
important,
Oh.
but the cucumbers will give it
Not that
all
it's
the
Canadian.
texture.
It's actually
Yeah. Yeah, the one designer I really like.
Anya
It
Ching is
is,
a TV
good.
whale. She's watching How to Train Your Dragon.
British guy. He does all the
British.
coding for elementary.
Yeah, okay.
That whole book.
But it's and yeah, I actually they just opened Ted Baker's.
Okay.
Look at you.
Okay.
How thin he cuts it.
Yeah, you can do that when you take care of your knives.
That makes a big difference too. Like, look at that knife.
This is a really expensive knife. Some people have really nice cars. Some people have,
Yeah, you have a really nice knife.
I have a really nice knife, A little bit of aesthetic.
Yeah. Well, you put a little dab in there,
Just to
so
Surprise!
nobody-
Well, it livens up the flavor.
Yeah, it does.
Oh
And
my God,
traditionally
that
it
is
was
really
to
the best sushi I've ever had in my life.
Traditionally, it was to keep the fish taste it off a little, cover the flavor. Here's if you look in here, it's kind of
Yep.
curled over.
Yep.
This is the actual outside part of the fish, right?
Oh, really? Okay.
So, I mean, it's perfectly edible. Perfectly edible. But there is actually a fin on this side.
Is this technically already cooked, or
It is already cooked.
Okay.
If we were at home and I was doing like a big eel thing, there is an actual extra different sauce that I make.
Really?
Aren't you going to roast it first before you put it in, or?
No, I'm going to cut it and
Then
I'm
you
going to put it inside
Okay.
the oven to cook. That way, I don't have to mess with the hot one.
Okay.
Because when this is hot, this is much harder to deal with because it's soft. It gets soft.
All right.
Right? Here.
All right.
You like it?
Oh yeah.
The flour.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of salmon.
It's a salmon flour.
I really had no choice at the time because, well, the restaurant had to go on. And
Yeah.
we didn't have a whole lot of time to train. Like the first 3 weeks, first 4 weeks, I was averaging 100 hours a week. I was sleeping like 3 hours a night, sort of thing.
You would dream sushi.
I would dream sushi.